Alex, what's going on, my guy?
Nothing much, man. Appreciate you having me back on.
No problem, Al. Excuse me. Welcome back to the Mobile Podcast. I'm your host, Dave Mill. You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, and everything going Railway to Success. Alex, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at _AJ the one. Hit me up on there, and let's get it.
All right, cool, man. Thank you, man. We're going to have a tremendous conversation, one that's going to bring value, and hopefully we can help educate someone who's thinking about the car rental business, and just to see like the pros and cons and the differences in cars, and maybe something else they maybe want to do. But we're going to emphasize cars today.
Yeah, for sure.
Where are you from, and what did you get into? How did you get into entrepreneurship, and what made you want to get into cars specifically?
Gotcha. So my name is Alex from the PG, Maryland area. I actually grew up in Southern Maryland, but I like to say PG because it's a lot easier. But to get into the entrepreneurship route, I started at a very young age. I was very young when I saw like the '08 bubble and stuff like that, so I kind of understood like what was going on. I didn't really understand everything, but I kind of like had an idea what was going on. And then as I got older, I just had a lot of questions and stuff. So I would always ask a lot of questions about like what happened with this, why did that go down? And a real thing that really sparked my interest was when I was at Bowie State. I had noticed that there was a difference between PWIs and HBCUs when I was kind of asking questions as to why are those things the way they are.
Wow.
And it kind of like went down that rabbit hole of just like taxes or giving back and stuff like that. So over time, I just kind of like stay curious about stuff, asking a lot of questions. And then when you just kind of focus on that, you kind of attract that thing to you. And so I attracted a lot of older people to me to basically like answer these questions that people my age couldn't really answer. And that just led to, me going to like network marketing, door-to-door sales, and realizing that there's a different atmosphere, there's a different way of life outside of the job. I still have a job today, and I use that to fund my businesses and things like that. Correct. But my goal is not to stay in a job. And so I have a lot of mentors who are basically like, hey, I do real estate, I do this business, that business. And so a lot of them just kind of guided me through the process to the point where I am now, where I still have a lot of mentors that still guide me through that process and allow me to be the guy I am today.
All right, man, that's dope, man. That's dope. Do you feel as though for someone who's just starting out, like mentorship is it priceless? How would you describe like what's the value of a mentor?
Oh man, it like I said, it is priceless because I got started, and this is one thing that I credit my mother to. She put me into a mentorship group. It was a guy that I played football with is on the same team, not same team like handball team, but like the overall team.
Right.
And he had told her, it's like, hey, I do a mentorship, and she's like, oh, cool, let me put my sign to it. And so I got started that way, and I just kind of like from the years jumped mentor to mentor to mentor to mentor, and you outgrow them. Per se, I still talk to all of my mentors. There's not one mentor I still don't talk to this day.
Wow.
But it becomes a point in life where you can go to the next phase. It's like a graduation. And so once I got to that point where I kind of, got interested in one thing versus another thing, I kind of just phased over from one mentor to another. So again, it is priceless. And I think that everybody coming up, there's no age limit to having a mentor, right? I have a mentor right now where he's 50 something years old and he has mentors, right? They're in their 70s, right? And they're still guiding him. And this dude makes $90 million a year. He still has mentors. So that's to say a guy with $90 million, and that's just one business. I don't know anything else he's doing, as this my kind of pockets. But if he's doing that, then it's like for me, I didn't even touch $1 million yet, right?
Right.
There's no reason for me not to have a mentor. But again, what one of my mentors told me, like, I've already gone through a lot of stuff in life, and imagine a field, right? Mm-hmm. And there's landmines in the field, and I've already gone through that field. I know what it's like. My job is to kind of show you and guide you around those landmines to make sure that you don't go through those same landmines and hit those same bumps on the road, hit those same like opportunities that are negative or life lessons that you may not want to experience. So you can kind of just skip around or skip levels and skip steps to get to that end goal that you want to get to.
Right. All right, man, that was dope, man. That's already valuable already.
Yeah.
So let's get into cars. So why should someone consider the rental car business or Turo, whatever the avenue is?
Yeah, I think everybody, not everybody, I think a lot of people can gravitate towards that car rental business because for me, the way I think is There's the three most expensive things that most people pay for in life is where you stay, what you drive, and your taxes, right?
Right.
And so where you stay, for me, I look at real estate because I want to have other properties paid for my property. Right? If I have other people paying rent and paying down these properties that I own, then, I get to collect that cash flow, and then that gets to offset the cost of my living expenses, right? So now I get to keep more of that money, but still get to enjoy nicer things. The second thing is what I drive, right? Right now I'm 26, so I drive my dream car, the Audi R8, and I have rental.
Nice.
Appreciate it. So I have rental cars that pay for that R8, right? And there's some months where it pays for it completely, but there's some months that it brings down the amount of money that I have to pay for this car. So at one point, like I was saying, I was actually paying less for my R8, right, than I was paying for my Dodge Charger.
Wow.
And it was like, it's crazy to think about that.
Wow,
right?
it is crazy.
Yeah, because it's like two way different level vehicles.
Price points and two different price points.
Exactly. And so I'm able to drive that and get that experience, right? So now I use properties to pay for where I live. I use cars to pay for what I drive. And then those two subsets allow me to get tax benefits and tax deductions and depreciation and things like that to then reduce the amount of taxable income that I have. So I get to enjoy things a lot.
Man, that's a separate episode right there of appreciation, depreciation, and tax charges. That is something.
Consult your tax professional.
Exactly, and yeah, exactly. Please have an accountant and everything for through that. Okay, so what made the car rental business appealing to you specifically, though?
I grew up around cars, right? So my father, for most people, if they're in the Maryland area, they know about Buzz Creek. Or if you're in the tri-state area, you know about something called Buzz Creek. Buzz Creek is where it's just like a drag strip where they have like the fastest cars in the area. You just go down, it's loud, it's fast, it's cars, it's motorcycles, all kinds of things. And then my sister would take me to the Boulevard, Cap 7 Boulevard in Largo, which was popping back then. Right. They had tons of cars all the way around. There's tons of cars. And so I just grew up loving those, just loving that idea of cars. My uncles had all the Corvettes from the C1 all the way up to right now they have the C8. So just like having that love as a child for cars, motorcycles really grew on me. So I knew I wanted to have nice cars. Mm-hmm. And so again, when I looked at it, I just for me, it just made sense. I was like, I came across an episode from David Shan's David Never Sleeps, and then also Earn Your Leisure. I wear their clothes all the time. But basically, it was the idea of renting out cars. I was like, wait, that makes sense. I could do that because I was in the car rental business, the car sales business. Mm-hmm. And so I worked my way up. I, in college, went to, I think it was like my second job in college was I was a porter, right? So when you check your car in for service, somebody comes in, writes down the information on a ticket, hands you a ticket, and then goes and takes the car off, right?
Okay.
That was me. I worked at BMW, Mini, and Porsche, right? Okay. So
you just been exposed to these nice cars from the jump.
From the jump, right? So all the BMWs that came through, I got to drive them except the GT, the BMW. I forget what it's called, but it's like the race car version. There was only a few of them made. The manager in there came out. He's like, I'm driving this. So, but yeah, I started that. Then I went into teaching people about the cars, the person who teaches you all about the car. And then I went into car sales, which is what I hated. I did not want to do that. That was actually my lowest point in life. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, at that point, the whole idea of cars made sense. From a maintenance perspective, from a sales perspective, from the whole perspective just made sense because I had that background. Right. And then once I was able to go ahead and get into that, I was like, I know how to buy a car. I know how to, get it serviced. I know how to do all that stuff. So I'm just going to go and jump in the deep end. And that's what we did. Me and my boy ended up buying a 2010 Toyota Corolla. Right. Okay. So we bought the Corolla on Facebook Marketplace. I think it was $5,000 or about $5,500 cash.
Okay. How old was the car when you bought it?
This was in 2021, okay, and it was a 2010, so it was an 11-year-old car. Okay. And then we put that on hire car. We, fell down, bumped our knees, and scraped our knees a couple times, pause. And then, we got up, dusted ourselves off, and made our way through that. Jumped on Turo, and then the rest was history.
Okay. Now, what type of person was car rental business work for? Is it someone who's a salesman, or is it someone who's just trying to get into entrepreneurship? Like, what would you recommend getting into?
I think car rental industry is for somebody who is resilient and has a lot of grit, right? Because there's going to be a lot of moments where it's going to try you and you're going to be like, do I really want this? Prime example, like live example, I can even show you the call history.
Okay.
1 a.m. this morning, I had gotten a call from one of my renters, and she was like, hey, the tire blew. And I'm like, it's like waking up. I'm like, yeah, you just, something. I'm just like trying to wake up and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those moments it's not for everybody. Most people don't like having anybody contact them in the middle of the night.
Correct.
Most people don't want to go out and have to change the tire like I did the first couple of times, right? And I'm not saying that you have to do that. Knowing what I know now, I'm not changing any tires. That's my tires because I run a business. I'm working on the business and not in the business.
Correct.
Right. So I think, again, to answer the question, is somebody who's going to be resilient, somebody who's like who wants something more to their life, but who's looking for a challenge, but also again that action seeker, because again, the car industry is so easy to network because there's only so many of us in the industry. And then once you get into the industry, you start upgrading to nicer and different cars. First you start out with the economies, then you start out with the luxury, and then go to the luxuries or sport. And then once you get into the sport, you start networking with all these different individuals and business owners, and you're trying to get your foot in the door with the business owners to like do strategic partnerships.
Right.
Then it can kind of like branch from there.
Okay. In your estimation, like, to get into this business, are cars good investments? Let's say, for example, when they say you buy a property, or a real estate property, they say all the advantages you get from owning real estate. You get the appreciation, depreciation, as you said, the different tax strategies, and then you have the cash flow that comes with it.
Right.
But it's just, you may not have all the different things that come up with cars. In your mind, is cars a good investment to start off?
I think it's a good investment depending on how you're going at it, right?
Okay.
So everybody's want to have their own different opinion and their own different aim and goal of what they're trying to get to, like the different destinations, right?
Right.
So car industry and the Airbnb industry have like the highest like cash on cash return and cash flow immediately, right?
Okay.
Because you can put everything on a credit card, right? Finance the car, put it on the credit card, like all the stuff that you need, your trackers, your kill switches, and all the extra stuff that you need. Put it on the credit card, list it before you even finish signing for the car, right? And then by the time you even get out of the dealership, you can have your first rental. I did it. My first, my fastest time ever getting a car booked was 3 hours after I bought it.
Wow.
It was life changing because I was like, wait a minute, this is possible.
Still has the new car smell in it.
Huh?
Still had the new car smell in it.
It's on the rental smell. Yeah. So, but yeah, you can literally get your first booking within a couple of hours if you set it up right, and with ChatGPT and Bard and all these other AIs and stuff like that, you can really like pick stuff up. I had to figure things out. Like, I'm not creative at all, right? So thinking of a description, thinking of a summary for the car, thinking what makes this car stand out was a challenge for me. I had to call like a couple of girls. I'm like, hey, you're good at creative stuff. Can you do this for me? I had to like pay them a couple of dollars like to help me out and stuff. Shout out to them. But now there's a lot of different strategies. Like, prime example, you can go, let's say that you're on the East Coast, find somebody in the Midwest or the West Coast who has that same kind of car, and then go to their profile, copy that, right? And then paraphrase it or have ChatGPT rewrite it. And now, boom, you got a summary, right? Which is one of the hardest parts. And then you just go into find all the metro stations, the airports, the points where you can drop off the car. And again, you have everything that you need. And you can take the pictures from, let's say, either the dealership, or you can take the pictures from somewhere else, right, and then put that on your Turo account. And now you have everything already done, again, within an hour or so. You didn't really have to put too much effort into it.
Okay. Wow. Neat. So what's the better investment? Would you prefer new car or used cars to get started?
I think they both have their advantages. For me, I think that I would go with the used car because depreciation on the car.
Okay.
Going back to your last question, is it a good investment? I think it is. It can be a good investment. Again, for me, I'm using it to offset the cost of my dream car, right? If you're just trying to get some extra money and stuff like that, it can also be a good investment. But it can also be a bad investment because you know, you might pick the wrong car, you might pick the wrong time of year, you might pick a car that has a recall on it that has no solution to it, and you're just sitting on the car because you can't put a car with a recall on the platform, right? And now you just have a car that's just sitting and stuff like that. Or you get a car that has too many accidents, and then Turo comes and deems it, you know, not up to their standards. I had a car just like that where they were like, it doesn't meet our standards, and now I have a car.
So what do you do in that situation?
You figure stuff out real quick.
Okay.
And you rent it, you know, either hire a car or privately. I won't do hire a car anymore because they changed their rules when I first got started into it, and they don't cover tolls or tickets. They make you and the renter figure that out. I don't like that aspect of it, but you can have certain processes in place to rent it privately.
Right.
I don't recommend that within your first year or two. I'm a prime example of that because I had, you know, a lot of stuff happen basically, right? And so to go back to your next question, is it used or new? The thing is, the depreciation that happens when you buy a new car happens too quick, right? To outpace the money that you're going to bring in. So a used car, I would say, works a lot better because the value of the car drops. Is like most of it's already dropped. Then like
Once you drive off the lot, right?
yeah, not necessarily when you drive off the lot, but like that 4th or 5th year period, that's when most of the depreciation goes down. There's a website where it'll actually, I can't remember, I have it on my phone, but there's a website where it'll actually tell you the depreciation curve of a car.
Wow.
Right? So if you go on Google and just look up depreciation curve of this car or whatever, it'll actually tell you, you know, how much is this it's expected to depreciate. Okay. And then you can kind of get a gauge there and then kind of like factor that in. It's like, okay, well, if I go for this used car, then, you know, my monthly payment's going to be a lot lower. Depreciation is not going to be as high, and I can get a better ROI on my money.
Okay. So would you say used car regardless of if you can afford like a newer car? Because like I was looking at some statistics yesterday while preparing for this show, and I was saying like the average new car price, like currently in the United States, is actually going down. It dropped about $300 to $400, which is not much, but you know, it adds up. And so the average price for a newer vehicle in the United States is like $47,899, you know, and then the average for a used car is about $28,000. And so, but it's also a shortage for used cars as well. So, so their price is starting to go up a little bit more. So is it, regardless of where you at financially, is it a better investment used?
I still would go to used. Okay. And there's also like, most people don't know that there's a tier system, right? So you can't just immediately go for a $60,000 car if you've never bought a car before. Okay. First tier is under $30,000. So that's where most people buy their first cars, under $30,000. And then once you buy a car there, then you can go to the next tier, which is about $30,000 to $60,000. As long as you make that per year, right? Like if you want to go for a $45,000 car, they might have changed guidelines on this, like to tighten this up. But from what I like knew, as long as you made $45,000 and you bought a car under $30,000 first, you can go buy a $45,000 car, right? Cool. Or if you buy a $50,000 car, you have to make $50,000 a year. So that's the second tier. Third tier is like 60 to like 90, and then I think it goes to like 90 to like 140 or something like that, then 140 above. So those are the different tiers. Again, to answer your question, I still will go used because, again, I can get a better deal on a used one than I can a new one. They try throwing all these incentives at you and to get you into the door. But from the sales perspective, like a lot of those incentives, 90-something% of people won't apply for it. They'll be like, oh, 0% interest rate for whatever, 2% interest rate. You have to have like great credit, and then you have to like meet other certain guidelines that you're probably not going to do. And then on top of that, you have to do like 48-month financing, versus if you get a used car, 72-month, which is 6 years. So I like the used cars because I can get a better deal on it. And you can go in like Hertz Auto Sales, right? If you're buying in your personal land, you can go Hertz Auto Sales. They have pretty good deals on a lot of like economy cars. And just kind of checking their area. Okay. And so, do you prefer rental cars? They just do say you invest in cars and real estate. You prefer cars to real estate or vice versa? Like, how would you break it down to? I think that they should be done in tandem, right? Okay. I think real estate can definitely be better if you have, like, again, depending on your goals, right? I think that the car business can also be better depending on your goals in your situation.
Okay.
If you have limited finances, if you have limited job history, limited requirements and stuff like that, you're not going to be able to qualify for a house like that, right? As easily. But you can go qualify for a car a lot better, because as long as you got over 700 credit score most times, and you don't have, crazy collections, delinquencies, bankruptcy and things like that, you can go get a car without really having to show much proof, right? You can just say, hey, this is how much I make, and you got a good 700 credit score, all right, cool, you're good, right? So it's a lower barrier of entry to the car rental business than it is to real estate. Real estate, you can still get in with a low barrier, but we're talking like wholesaling. You're talking about cold calling. You're cranking numbers. I used to do wholesaling for real estate as well. You're doing about 100 calls a day, minimum.
At least, yeah.
At least. But with the car industry, you're just looking at, the car listings that are there within a 200-mile, 250-mile radius, however long you want to drive. Further out of your state, the better. Like we're in the DMV area, it's like one of the most expensive areas to like buy a car in.
Right.
So going to places like Florida, Midwest, I personally don't go up towards like New Jersey and New York because
That's more expensive.
it's not as more expensive. You'll get a better deal up there, like PA and New Jersey. You'll get a better deal, but there's more tax on the car. When I say tax, I mean like there's more hills, there's more terrain, there's more elements up there, and it's colder. So it's like you gotta like know how to like judge that car, or get somebody who knows how to look at that car.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's something I never thought of.
Yeah.
That's good to know. Okay. So in this business, because I'm sure everyone who gets in any business, they want to make money. So what's the profit margin for Turo or car rental business?
It depends. And I want it, as much as I want to give like a straightforward, like, 30% profit margin. I can't, because it depends on your area. It depends on the car that you have. It depends on the market. It depends on the people who are in that market, right? But Turo has the Turo calculator where they will actually tell you roundabout numbers or projections of what it is that you can expect that car is going to make within a year. It'll tell you how much, what the average price that people are paying for that car, what the average price, the maintenance for the year for that car, and then your average, net profit or, gross profit, actually, now that I think about it, because you still got insurance, right?
Right.
And different people want to have different insurance, right? You can go to places like ABI, where it's going to allow you to get insurance for, $75 a month, right?
They back like commercial insurance. Or...
Yeah, right. So, but you can only have that car on Turo. You can't just drive it around, right? They give you like 200 or some miles a month to do like maintenance and routine checkups and car washes and stuff like that. But outside of that, cannot drive it because it's only for Turo.
They're only covered for Turo.
You could also do something like, if you want to do private rentals, Lula is really good. You have to check their rules and regulations. They actually just changed it like a couple of weeks ago.
The LULA?
Yeah, LULA, .is or something like that. But if you just look up Lula Insurance, it'll pop up. It's like an orange background.
Okay.
So they're good. So they're about like $130. If you get like roadside assistance, which is what I got, you can go ahead and get that for like $9 a month or something like that. It's $130 per car or $75 per car, whatever's in your budget and stuff. And then outside of that, personal insurance, right? And then your personal insurance can go, I've seen some people have $70 a month insurance. I've seen people have $600 and $800 and $900 a month insurance. So insurance is one thing. Your kill switch is another thing that you have to invest in. There's pastime.
And what's the kill switch?
Kill switch is basically, imagine that I rent out a car and, they try to steal it. Right, I can go into my app and say, kill the car, right? So when they turn, the next time that person turns the car off, it's not going to immediately dead the car.
Yeah, right.
Because that'd be dangerous. They're driving, that'd be dangerous. But the minute that they stop the car, turn it off, it won't turn back on. Right? So,
wow.
Yeah, it's killing the switch of the car, ignition, right?
That's neat.
Yeah, so
I had to do that to my personal car.
Right. So you can definitely do that. So you have pastime, and then you have Gold Star. And then there's another one I can't remember, but then you have like third-party ones that they're only a kill switch, and then there's some that are only a navigation, and then you have some that are both, right? So Pastime and Gold Star are both. I have them both. I just got Pastime, so I haven't gotten too familiar with it. Gold Star, when I first got it, terrible, because no. signal will go bad, or I'd have to contact, technical support all the times to get that started. But they gotten a lot better. I'll say that. But it allows you to track miles and allows you to track a lot of different things. You just kind of go in there and check that out. But insurance, kill switch. I personally get Apple AirTags for all my keys because I've had, I'll give you a prime example. I had someone who, her grandchild took the keys thinking it was a toy. She couldn't find the keys for like 4 days. So wow, 5 days, right? And we're like, we have to charge you $400 for that key because that key is expensive.
Right.
And then she ultimately ended up finding it, luckily. But now with the Apple tag, I can just ring it and then it's like, oh, there it is, right?
That's a neat trick.
Right. And then what else is there? But yeah, you have those couple things. You're obviously your license to like operate in the state, doing it that way. But all those things probably add up to about $1,000 or less, like initially, and then per car again, it's like maybe $400 or $500 car. Again, you can go get a credit card. If your credit is good, you can get a credit card and then like 0% interest rate for 12 months, 15 months. Put all that stuff on the credit card. Get 1, 2 cars. I don't recommend getting more than 2 cars if you're first starting out into it. I just say like 1 car.
That's a good to know.
Yeah, just to get your foot out of the door, and then, but yeah, you can again start off $1,000 less, and then per car after that's like $500, and then when you think about car note again varies.
Right.
Let's say it's $150 for your insurance and a couple other things, and then your car note is let's say $350, right? So you have what, $500, and then I say like another 10%. For your maintenance, so it's another $50. But let's say you're listing the car for like $35 a day, or around that 90 plan. Right. I'll go into some plans in a second. That's $1,000 a month, right? So you're grossing or netting like $450 a month per car. And so in the tier system in Turo is they have like protection plans, right? The protection plan is saying, hey, we're going to do a profit split. 60%, 70%, or 75%, 80, 85, and then 90, right? And then with each one, they're like, hey, the more we do a profit split, the more we're going to cover if something were to happen. Like you'll have a lower deductible, you'll have more roadside assistance coverages and things like that. So there's a lot of different options that happen with that. And I'm on the 90 plan because I've been able to like figure things out, understand the way that they move about certain things, and they kind of go from there. Right. And I'm a little bit more comfortable with and confident in the way that I run my business and stuff. So I like start off at the 75 plan and then just kind of work the way up.
Good to know. So all those things pretty much come together to affect your margins, basically.
Yeah, I say this: you're not going to get rich off the first car, right? Your goal is not to get rich off the first car. You're not going to get rich off the first 4 cars, right?
Right.
But what you're doing is building a snowball effect where it's like, imagine that each car is bringing in $200 a month, right? And you got 4 cars, that's $800 profit, right? So now imagine you had a $500 car, which is $35,000, right? And then you got your insurance, which is $200, and then like gas, right? That's enough to cover your entire payment, insurance, and some of your gas right there, right? For 4 cars, and you're a business. Right. And of course, as you start going up, the 90 plan and stuff like that, you get a little bit higher profit margin. So you get $500 a month per car. Or if you go off Turo and you start renting to person, they're like, hey, I have all the qualifications. I have a credit card. I have insurance. These are the things I wish I knew. If someone has a valid driver's license, and you can use the app called Scanner, SCANNR. It's a free app, and you get a certain amount of scans for free. And then after that, it's like very, very low, like a penny or something per scan or something, right? And that'll, like, you scan the back of the barcode, and that'll actually say, if it's valid, if it's a real ID and stuff like that. So if they have a valid driver's license, if they have insurance, and with insurance, you call the insurance company on 3-way with them and say, hey, I just want to make sure it transfers over to this car, right? I want to make sure that the coverage transfers over and can confirm the limit.
So they use their own private insurance.
Right. Yeah. So if they have these qualifications, right? Okay. If they have the coverage, right? Let's say the value of the car is $25,000, they need coverage up to $25,000. $40,000, they need $50,000 or $75K or $100K, whatever. Right? Their coverage has to meet or be above what it costs for that car, the value of that car. If they have driver's license, insurance, and a valid credit card, right? then you can rent to them outside of Turo, because as long as you have a rental agreement and get an attorney to do that, because you don't want to mess around with that. Get an attorney, pay them, the $1,000 or whatever it costs to generate, or $600 to create that contract. And then you're able to go ahead and do business as long as you have a rental license, and a couple of things depending on your state. Mm-hmm. But you can rent to them outside of Turo, and now you have an even higher profit margin, right? But understand that if you do that, you're going to take on a lot of risk, right? If the car breaks down, if the car has whatever, right? If it gets stolen, you got to handle that because Turo's not there,
exactly,
right? Training wheels are off at that point.
Yeah.
So to answer in a long, drawn out way, that's what I'm saying. It depends on the profit margins, but as you get more confident and more comfortable with what you're doing, the profit margins do go up.
Okay. All right, cool. So when you get started, let's say you have one car, at the most 2 cars. Like what are the systems in place to fuel these cars, clean these cars, and maintain the vehicles?
Maintenance is a big one. So you can use things like yourmechanic.com, where they have like travel mechanics, and it'll actually tell you up front, hey, this is, you can choose from these services. This is how much you're expected to pay for the services, and the mechanic will come to you. Or you can find somebody who is ASE certified, a mechanic that is, reputable to go ahead and, do your maintenance and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes, if they're really good, like if you work with an individual person, you can then talk to them and say, hey, you work on the side and do a workaround that way, save them more money. As far as the cleaning goes, this is what I personally do. When I have my cars, I make sure that they're within a very tight radius of public transportation, metro, somewhere where it's like the bus stop. Mm-hmm. Uber can get there, they can walk there. And, there's shopping centers or something to do. Because if you're late, then they need something to do, right, to kill time. Or if they're late, you need something to do, kind of kill time. But again, having a car wash there, because I do my car washes myself. I clean it, wash it, but then down the street, actually, there's a car wash that I found that they'll actually clean it for you and stuff. Like, pull it in, they'll wash it for you. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so like maintenance, like I said, your mechanic, or ASE certified mechanic. Car washing, either do it yourself at the car wash, or buy the stuff, go to like Walmart or something, like, and just buy the vacuum. Yeah. All the cleaning products on Amazon, what you need. And then what was the other question?
Just maintain the car, like oil changes, things like that.
Oh yeah. So your mechanic will do the majority of that stuff, or if you know how to do it yourself and save a couple bucks there, you just go to Man's Auto Parts, AutoZone, whatever your auto parts store is, and do it yourself. So a lot of it, if you understand cars and how they work, you can do a lot of it yourself. Or if you don't, then there's websites and systems that can kind of help you manage that stuff. But again, just check Google Maps to see somewhere that has a gas station, a car wash, and a mechanic all within like a 5-10 minute radius, because you don't want to drive all over the place. Right. Because if you're running late, or if you have like multiple cars, then what happens is you got to get this car ready, and then you got to go get this car ready, and then you got to come back and drop it, pick it up and stuff like that. Kind of run yourself then.
And so you pretty much touched on like the very next question I was going to ask. Like, where do you store these cars when, they're out, so renters can get them in? And so
yeah, so there's also when you have like up to 4 cars, you can just park them on the street. Mm-hmm. Say somebody park them on the street, it's not gonna hurt anything. If your pricing is good, then they'll stay out. So you don't really need to like keep having them there. Right. But once you start getting either a nicer fleet or bigger fleet, you'll want to again park it in somewhere that's either an open lot to again have enough space to park it and still cut back on the expenses. But if you don't have that, then you can go to like a parking garage and then pay to store it, right? Mm-hmm. And a good range is about $100 a month per car. Mm-hmm. That's a good amount. Anything less than that is a good deal. Anything more than that is pretty expensive. You can use an app called Spot Hero, SPOT Hero, and that'll actually show you parking. I use this for like personal as well. Like if I'm going into the city and I just don't know where to park, or I just want to find the best parking or cheapest parking, I can Spot Hero and it'll tell me, hey, what's the address that you're parking at? When are you going to start parking and when are you leaving? And it'll tell me like on the map all the different places where I can park. Or there's another tab where it's monthly parking and I can see all the different spaces where I can park.
Okay. Would you recommend someone paying for a garage space if their cars are routinely out? Or would you just, like, is that just a good insurance plan just in case, the parking car store is safe?
It depends because again, it's factoring into your profit margins, right? If you have enough profit margins to absorb that, then go ahead. If not, then again, I would try to find somewhere that isn't. There's tons of places that park. Like, but if you're in the city, you know, it's going to be a little bit tougher, right?
Yeah, but you not do parking.
Yeah, it's just
Start getting ruthless on the street.
yeah. So it's very tough, and it's like, do you want to wake up at 6 in the morning and go move the car, kind of thing like that. So again, it can be, but it all depends on your situation, where you live at, what you got going on and stuff, and how you got to move about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you already touched on how you insure the cars when they're rented. So how do you insure the cars when they're not rented? Are they on your personal insurance? And how many cars can you have on your personal insurance?
I don't know if there's a limit to the amount of cars that you can have on your personal insurance. I know somebody who has like 8 cars on their personal insurance.
Wow.
And, you know, it's not really someone told me this because, you know, I overthink a lot of stuff. And someone told me, was like, yo, it's not the insurance job to tell you, you know, if there's too many cars. It's their job to just say, hey, for this car, it'll cost this much to insure. So whether or not you want to pay that price isn't completely on you. Again, ABI, you can have the insurance on that kind of car and have it $75 a month, unless it, like, you know, they change your prices and stuff like that. But, you know, those cars can just sit. But again, the key to keeping it, I don't know if this is one of your questions, so not the key to keeping it rented out is adjusting the numbers, right? Turo has their own like pricing calculator where it'll automatically adjust the prices up and down and stuff like that. And within that, you can say, hey, adjust the pricing within, you know, $35 up to $45, right? $40 up to $80. But if you have too big of a range, then, you know, it'll try to do it, but it may not book it as efficiently. Again, the key to doing it is to adjust the numbers plus or minus $2 every couple of days.
So Turo does this for you?
They can, yeah.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, they have the option. You can turn it on or off. But if you have it off, then you have to manually change the price.
Right.
But for me, I do both. I will have it automatically do it just in case, like, I'm busy doing something with the car rentals or doing something with, or not the car rentals, with Airbnb, with the job, with life, you know, in case I forget about it, I can just have it automatically do it at the back.
How is Turo? So would you say, like, having the cars on Turo, is it a friendly app for the car owners or renters? Like, how do you overall access the app itself?
I think is very good for what it does. You know, it's very user friendly on both sides. It walks you through the process. It's very difficult for you to kind of get lost and stuff. Unless you're like fully beginning,
right?
And you know, that's just with anything. Like, you just got to know what's going on. Like, but as long as you just kind of you scroll up and down, then it's like everything is just like in this narrow column. So it's like there's not too many other places to go. It's not you don't scroll to the right or to the left. It's just up and down, and then all your buttons are like, you know, here, right? So that's on both sides, right? And then, like, when you're doing the check-in process, like, for me as our car owner, when I go to the trip, it'll just say, hey, get started in purple. Can't miss it, right? When you get started, it walks you through. It's like, hey, take 8 pictures of the exterior of the car, right? And then it also show you, like, all their documentation. They have a robust amount of, like, documentation of how to do everything. It's very incredible. Hire a car, not so much. Get around. I don't know too much about them, so I don't really talk about them. When you get started, take these amount of pictures of the outside, take these pictures of the inside. How many miles does it have currently? And then what's the gas on, right? And then once you fill all that information out, it's like, hey, look at this person's picture, right? And does it match their ID? Do they match their ID and stuff like that, right? And then you just kind of check. Again, either you can scan our app or you can just kind of look at it and just say, all right, cool.
Can you use the scan app from the Turo app as well?
No, it's its own separate app.
Okay.
Yeah. But most times, Turo's already verifying your side.
Okay.
So if it says, like, on their profile that they're verified to drive, then most times they're pretty much good to go.
Okay. All right. So my next question: we're in the business. We're started. We have 1 car. We have 2 cars. How do we scale our business?
Because with any business, you need to know that you are not the expert.
Right.
And for me, I even know I'm not the expert. I know that most times this is probably your first business or your first couple of businesses. But even someone who's had multiple businesses doesn't know everything it is about business. They still need to go out and explore and read.
That's why, as you said, your 50-year-old mentor still has a mentor.
Yeah, of course. So to scale it, I think that you need to read and then also find other people in the industry that are in the industry and kind of ask them, hey, what is it that you do to be successful, and kind of share ideas and stuff like that. I still do that to this day. And just asking people like, hey, what's your thoughts on this? I'm having this happen to me. What are your thoughts? Right. And then you just kind of, bounce ideas off of each other. A couple books that I'd like personally is like within the business realm. One is called Traction. I think that's one by Gino Wickman. It's like a charcoal gray orange book.
Yeah.
Right. That's about how to gain traction in your business, who's in the right places, how do you get certain things going, what kind of documentation that you need to make sure that your business is smooth. A follow-up book to that, or a book to like in tandem. If you have those two books and it like helps automate your business and stuff like that, in addition to using things like ChatGPT, it's a lot easier to go ahead and scale that. So, and also like talking to other people, right? Because another thing is that I don't know if they like discontinued it, but when I was like going through everything, Bank of America, you could have your LLC, and then like as long as you had your documentation proper, right, and they'll tell you exactly what you need, you could have your LLC, and then the next day, like open the account, fund it with $200, and the next day go apply for a business auto, right? And you can apply for up to 4 of them, right?
For individual loans or like one?
Or individual car loans.
Okay.
Right. And again, it depends on your personal credit, because if your business is new, then it's going to depend on your personal credit because you have to personally guarantee it.
Basically.
And then, but yeah, it's like me personally, I can get a car, $45,000 car, because got the car in the first tier and I'm in the second tier. When I go to buy it in the business name, they're going to go off the stated or projected income, because that's what your business is supposed to make. Right. And so for me, I'm like, well, I know that if I have these cars, then I'm supposed to make, $1,000, $2,000 or $1,500 a month for these cars. So I'm gonna go ahead and add that up into it. And then that's how I get to that.
What's the makeup of your fleet, and what is the optimal fleet? So is it economy cars, luxury cars, sports cars? Like, how does it get started, and what cars perform best?
Gotcha. So my fleet right now is primarily economy cars, but I'm kind of graduating into the black truck industry, as well as like luxury and sport, because I think the entry level is economy, right? It's the lowest cost car, it's easiest to get, it's easiest to obtain. And there's a lot of people there's people every day who's going to need an economy car, right? Whether they're driving to work, the car broke down, whatever happens, somebody's going to need an economy car. And then I think that that's a good staple, right? A good foundation, because that those cars are going to stay out, right? So you can keep those are the keep the lights on kind of cars. Once you start getting into like the luxury and sport cars, now there's seasonality, so they may do very, very well in the spring and summertime, maybe the fall, but like fall and wintertime, they may not be rented out at all, right? Depending on what kind of car you're in, depending on what kind of season you're in, and what kind of area you're in. But when you start doing like things like black truck, that's in your route, because people need it for chauffeur services. People do Uber with that. People do, celebrities need those kind of cars, transportation services. There's a wide range of things for a black truck. So that's where I'm kind of going towards. And it doesn't cost too much to go for a black truck, like $35,000 for a Tahoe 2016.
Wow.
There's certain years that there's the body style changes or the inside changes. And like, prime example, the G-Wagon, right? The G-Wagon from like 2012 or something like that, like within that range, all the way up to 2018, the body style is very, very identical, right? There's very subtle changes between the two, or between the years, but they're very identical. And then from 2019 on up, the body style is very similar, right? They might change the way the leather looks, they might change the size of the screen, they might change just a couple things here and there. But yeah, I like, for me, if I was getting a G-Wagon, I would go for like a 2019 or 2020, because most people aren't going to know the difference between a 2019 and a 2023. Okay. Even though they're 4 years apart.
Okay. So just to add on to that, because I did some more digging on this as well. So according to Turo, the top performing cars are economy cars. And the top three they say is the Fiat 500, which is discontinued. So if you could get your hands on that, an older one, maybe that may be worthwhile. The Chrysler Voyager and Kia Rio. Other popular cars are Nissan Versa, Toyota Yaris, and the Volkswagen Jetta. And so again, these are according to Turo themselves. Right. So I definitely agree with that. But if you are wanting to get into like the mid price cars, they say the Cadillac CT5, the Audi S5, and the BMW Z4 are the top performing cars in that price class as well. So definitely agree with that.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's like, again, your economy is your entry level. Will keep your lights on that car, but you're not going to get huge profit margins because it's low risk, low reward. And the higher the risk, the higher the reward that you get. Because there's like when I say higher risk and higher reward, think like a Lambo, right? You can still rent out a Lambo. I know people like I have partners who rent out.
Would you want to rent out a Lambo? That's the thing.
Yeah. So I have partners who rent out Lambos, and we broker them for them as well. And, they have crazy profit margins, right? Because the car note may be $3,500 and they're charging like $1,500 a day, right? You only need 2 days to then break even. Everything after that are 3 or 4 days to really break even because, got
3 days.
Yeah, you got your insurance, you got, maintenance and all this other stuff that you got to pay for and stuff like that. So like 3 to 4 days, but, if you're booking it, 12, 15 days out the month, do the math.
I would assume though, if you're for Lambos, it kind of depends on the market you're at as well, correct?
Yeah, for sure. I guess you can't go like somewhere like, no shade, but like you probably won't go to Kentucky with a Lambo.
I'm about to say, you're not booking a Lambo in Dayton, Ohio. I wouldn't think. Maybe there's some popping in Dayton, Ohio. I don't know about.
Yeah.
Okay, so where should someone begin if they're interested in buying or purchasing their first car?
I think that you should do a lot of research. Into this industry and really understand what it is that you're about to get into, because again, it is scary to think about the fact that you're about to have strangers drive your car and you have no idea how they drive, if they're going to smoke in it, if they're going to damage it, like their driving record. You don't have no idea how to do any of that stuff, right? I think that you should get courses, right? We're actually in the process of supporting my course on the car rental business, about all the stuff that we're talking about, and how to circumnavigate all the headaches and ups and downs of business and stuff like that. But I think you should get courses and watch like podcasts like this to kind of get an idea of what it is that, the general idea of like how to go about it. And then once you get 70% of the information, right, take the action, right, execute. Because trying to get 100% of the information, you're just going to have like analysis paralysis, right?
Right.
Or your boy would like to call it analyze paralyze, right? So, so it's like you don't need all the information. You just need enough to feel confident to make the next step, because you're never going to know the entire process. Even though I've had a lot of experience in the car industry, there's still things that I didn't know and I had to learn the hard way. But again, it's like that creates, you got to mold or fold, right? You're either going to mold it to the person you need to become, or you're going to fold it into the person that you don't want to become, right? And then you're just going to have, like those moments where you're just like, this is a terrible idea.
Go. So what's the ideal credit profile for someone to get into the business?
Ideal credit is somebody who 700 credit scores is really enough to like get you in the door, right?
So if you don't have a set up 700 credit score, should you wait to get to that mark before you get in?
Yeah, I think it would be the best, because when you start factoring interest rates, and you can go into like Google and just like, I think it's like smartassets.com or something like that. And just Google, car interest loan calculator or something like that, right? Or car monthly payment calculator, and see the differences between a 4% interest rate, a 7% interest rate, 10, and then a 16% interest rate, right? Because if you have like mediocre credit, right, anything like 500 to like 630 or something like that, you're probably going to get taxed like 16% and above, right? Which is going to factor into your profit margins, right? You're only making $200 a month on the car profit, but then you got a 16% interest rate and your car note is $300 more. Well, now you're losing money at that point, $100 a month every month. And then if you get like 630 to like 650 or 670, 680, right? Now you're still going to be at like 12% interest rate, right? Which is still pretty high. It's not crazy in today's, world, where average profits is just, it is what it is. But then, like I said, when you compare that to like 6% interest rate, you start seeing that come down. So 700 credit score, you're going to be able to go in there and get a pretty decent rate. You're not going to get the best rate, but again, you're going to get a decent rate that's manageable, maintainable. You're going to also be able to walk in there and like not have to come in there with, crazy documents, because each bank is different. Go to a credit union, right? If you're buying like one car at a time, if you're going to buy multiple or in bulk, like say try out Bank of America and go about it that way. But 700, go on there, little to no documents, projected income if you're buying in the business lane, or you just say, hey, this, my circumstance, and then you have a 700 credit score, they're going to say, all right, cool, you're good to go.
All right, so when you're purchasing these vehicles, are purchasing with using auto loans, like as you said, are you purchasing any in cash or like partnerships? Like how are you purchasing your business?
I do a mix. So all the cars that I personally own or my business owns, I have not ever put down any cash. Okay. Right? I finance 100% of my cars, and there's even tricks to doing that, to even getting around it. Because like if you're buying private and outside of a dealership, you're going to pay cash, right?
Right.
So let me take that back. Actually, the Toyota Corolla was the only car that I bought cash. Right.
Okay.
It's just Facebook Marketplace, and it's like, because me and my boys split the cost. I'm like, yeah, we have the money, so let's just go ahead and do it. Okay. But if I finance it, I never put any money down because I always had over a 700 credit score. If you don't have a 700 credit score, just pay the money to go and get your credit done. Right. Get the credit repair. If it's $1,000, if it's $1,200. It's worth it because they're going to save the amount of interest that they're going to save you over time is going to be tens of thousands of dollars, right? Over the course of that loan. So, my fault. I got sidetracked. What was the question again?
No, I was just saying, you cash like
Okay. Sorry. Phone went off. But yeah, I haven't put any cash down. I finance it all. And then like, for example, I have a family member, me, they bought the car. They financed it and then gave it to me to manage, right? And so I'm able to manage that.
Just slaps. That's sort of like a partnership.
A partnership, exactly. So again, 700 credit score and above, you get the car, finance it. You don't have to put any money down. If they say you need to put money down, again, go to a credit union. They're going to like work with you a lot better, give you a better deal. If you go straight to the dealership, they're going to try to do the tactics to kind of get around that. And if you're in a dealership, what happens typically is they're going to say, hey, we got you a great rate. We got you a great rate. Got you a good deal, right? And here's your interest rate and here's your payment.
Oh, man, they just telling you everything they need to tell you.
Yeah, well, really what happens is they're marking up the interest rate a couple points. So that way, they get to keep that as profit to themselves. Or you can say, hey, you can buy this rate down. And then again, that's further profit for them. But again, like I said, go get your all financing first, get pre-approved, and then go to the dealership. So that way there's no like back for outside.
So would you say you always recommend, especially for cars, get the loan instead of paying cash for?
I'll put it this way.
The opposite of Dave Ramsey?
Yeah, I'll put it this way. If, let's say you and I both have $5,000, right?
Right.
And you go get a car for $5,000 in cash, right? You're going to get a much, much older car, right? And the minute that you drop that $5K, you don't have that $5K no more until you make it back from your profits and stuff. Again, if you're only making like $500, because you're not going to make $1,000 on that car, right? Because it's an older car. It's not going to rent out as much, and it's not going to rent for a higher price. You got the lower price and stuff like that. So however long it takes you to get that $5,000 back to then break even, cool. And then you start getting the profit, right? So let's say it takes you 10 months to break even, and then you start cash flowing from that point on. Versus me, I had put it, financed it. I got it on a credit card. Put all my stuff on credit card, right? Also for you, if anything happens, you then have to come out of pocket again, right? In addition to your $5,000. For me, I financed it. I could put it on my credit card, and then so I still have my $5,000, right? And then, let's say that anything happens, I have that $5,000 to pull from. If my car is not renting out, I have $5,000 to pull. If, the maintenance or whatever happens, I have that $5,000 to pull from. And so it's like, now you gotta choose what you want to do But just know that if you pay cash, you're locking that money up until you can break even and then get a profit. If you finance it, you could be cash flowing from day one.
I would just say it's based on your risk tolerance. Because some people just don't like paying anything, using loans.
Yeah.
Like Dave Ramsey preaches.
Yeah.
So if some prefer cash,
Some people, it's like it's their religion not to pay, like usury.
yeah,
Like it's your religion not to need a loan and stuff. So.
yeah, that makes sense as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I actually just got paid
wow.
from I don't know if the camera's gonna be able to pick up on that, but I literally just got paid on Turo, so that's gonna be enough to cover a couple things. It's not, again, it's one car, it's an economy car. It's not for me to get rich, but it's going to be enough to, again, keep me afloat for the next week, 2 weeks out. Wow, and stuff like that. So try yourself.
Wow, that's crazy how the universe works, right?
Yeah, but that's why I like the car rental business, because like that, in addition to other businesses, is because I can be asleep and still be making money, right? I can make money in my sleep, and so now it's like I don't have to be here. Like, prime example, I built up a system where it's like I had people who were able to do maintenance, who were able to drop a car off. I had lock boxes in the car. That's the other thing I couldn't remember. Like I was talking about, like the AirTag and switch. A lockbox, right? You can go on Amazon. The lockbox is like an all-weather lockbox is like $48, something like that. Nowadays, you might have to go ahead and get like a little, it's not a Faraday cage, but it's like an electromagnetic locker for the like key bag. So you put your little key in this bag and it blocks the signal from leaving that bag, because what's happening now is that people are able to break in cars very, very creatively, where they can copy, it's a repeater where they copy the signal of the key, and then they use that to unlock the door. Like your BMWs, your Audis and stuff like that, where they have to keep up, they can repeat the signal. So like if you had your key, I could repeat, if I had the right thing, I could repeat the signal and then unlock the car without the alarm going. Try it.
Okay. Dope, that's dope. All right, so are these vehicles, are they out there in your name, or are they in business names? How do you acquire these vehicles?
So all but two are actually in my business name.
Okay.
The only reason I didn't get the RE in my business name was because I wasn't sure at the time. I just wanted to like get it because the deal I got on was pretty good at the time. And it's the exact build that I wanted. But now knowing what I know, I would put all of my cars in my business name, because it separates the liability of myself.
Right.
So I'm seeing a lot of videos, and I actually want to like really structure this where it's like you have the trust, and then you have your holding company, and then you have your LLCs, right? And then you have all the LLCs hold the assets of that business.
So all LLCs are in your holding company, correct?
Say it again?
All the LLCs will be in your holding company.
Correct. Right. So you're creating these level of separations, right? Because it's a limited liability company. So it only limits the liability.
For that company.
Right. So if you have your cars in the business name, it only limits that. So if it gets into action or something happens to that car, that person can come after you and your assets to a limited degree. But if it's held in an LLC, that's held into a holding company, that's held into a trust, right? That's held into a family trust. Now there's no lawyer but there's very, very few lawyers that would even, try to go ahead and go after that kind of thing. So, but I wanted you to record that because, again, it's just like to see that live. Mm-hmm. And we saw the payment come through. We saw the renter calling, right? That's the type of person that you have to be when it comes to this business. Like, you got to shut things down. Like, I got to answer this call real quick, and it's a renter, because they're paying for this. They're paying for your service, and you got to provide top-notch service, because if you don't, and they give you a 3-star review, you're cut, right? Yeah. You can't, there's only so many 4-star and 3-star reviews that you can get for it. Turo's like, yo, look, you're not following our rules. You gotta go. And now your money supply is chopped.
Right. Okay. I'm glad because it took me a little second to I was like, it took me a little second to catch on to that. All right, cool. So we kind of touched on this earlier, but how do you acquire cars in a business name, if that's the route you're interested in going? Take it.
How do I acquire cars in a business way?
Yeah, in your business.
So it depends on your state. So like for most states, you go to, I think it's the comptroller or whoever it is, but you go on like Google and type in Maryland or Virginia or Tennessee LLC filing, right? And you can do a lot of this stuff yourself. So you go in there and then say, hey, I'm going to create a new LLC. You put in the information that you need to, right? And some of the information is going to ask you is for your business number, right? For a business number, you can either go to like T-Mobile and get an actual business line.
Like a business phone number.
Yeah. Or you can get Ring Central is really good to go ahead and get the business phone number. So that way you don't have to give out your personal number. Right. As you see, I got two phones because I don't want to call my personal. I want the business number. So you get a business number, you get a business email, not a Gmail, right? You need the actual, you don't have to pay the $12 a year or $15 a year, whatever it is, to get an actual business email. So you can go to GoDaddy, you can go to, there's a couple other ones.
But you need to get like a site?
Yeah,
like business email.
GoDaddy and Google Domains is another one. There's a third one, I can't remember what it's called.
I know if you do Squarespace also does.
Squarespace, yeah. So you actually get the domain, you get a business email, you list yourself on 411, right? If you just Google list yourself on 411, it'll pop up there. You need a business address, so you can't put your personal address because you gotta look like an actual business, right? If you go to a business, to a bank, to actual business or actual money, and they look at your stuff, and you just Joe Smo, personal number, Gmail, Yahoo, whatever. And it's his house address? Nah, get out, right? But you can have Regus, Regus, and then you can use their virtual office and you can use the address of that building as the actual business address and stuff like that.
You know, it's crazy ironic that you're touching on this because actually on my last YouTube video, I actually showed everyone the steps to get your own virtual office, creating a website for your business, listing yourself on 401, list yourself.net. So it's crazy that we're talking about this now because in my last video, I was actually showing people the steps to doing these things.
Watch that video, probably a link in the chat in the description. Yeah. And so you get your LLC. Once you get your LLC, then you go to the bank, right? If you go to credit union or if you go to, I missed a step. You get your LLC right from the state, and then you go to the IRS online. If anybody says to get your EIN, pay them money, don't do it, right? You go to EIN online or in Google, EIN online, and then go to the IRS.gov. Make sure that you're on the IRS.gov site because there's like other sites that try to impersonate it and steal your information. And then go through all that stuff, right? Once you get that, you're going to get download the Adobe file, right? There's an option to download it or have it mailed. Please just download it because if not, it's going to take a long time for it to get mailed. And then once you have your state LLC, Articles of Organization, in your EIN online, and then you have all the stuff that you're talking about, list yourself, the Regus and the Ring Central phone number and the business email. Once you have all that, then you can go to the bank, right? And the bank is going to say, hey, we need, XYZ documents. Oh, here you go, right? And then once you give them that, you want to say, hey, I want to do a business auto loan. All right? If you go to a credit union, they may only give you one, maybe two cars at the most. But if you go to Bank of America, again, you just have to keep doing applications, like one application, two applications, however many cars you want, up to 4 cars, and you can get approved. And then that's how you get into business auto loans. It's very straightforward.
Okay.
They'll walk you through the whole process too. It's like, don't be scared. Like, I was nervous. I'm like, oh man, like they're gonna find something now. But also with Bank of America, they're gonna ask you for your projected income. I was able to go ahead and just go into like Microsoft Excel and to find a template of a P&L or projected income, stated income, and then just kind of plug the numbers in that I felt as though, for my business they would do, and then handed that to them and some other documents that they actually signed, and that was it.
Were on your P&L, were they like conservative numbers or are you aggressive with the numbers?
No, I was confident in the numbers. Okay. Because like, if you say that you're going to make $60,000, who are they to tell you that you're not going to make that?
Yeah, I'm just saying.
So you got to go in there confident, like, oh, what is it that you? Oh, I do this. But don't tell them like you do car rentals because you're going to get denied off rip.
Yeah.
Right? For me, I do small business manager consulting, right? And that's what I do. We're on a podcast. I actually consult people on how to run their businesses and things like that. It just so happens that I also do car rentals on the side, right? Because again, who are you to tell me that I don't need a business vehicle for my business? Like, can't tell me that. You're not the one running my business. I'm the one telling you I need this. Your job is just to put in the application. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we're in the business, right? And we've scaled into more than 2 cars. I'm assuming now this is the time you want to start to build your team, right? And so like, who are the people that you need on your team to be successful in business?
So you can probably self-manage, depending on if like you have a job. I still have a job. You can manage up to like 4 cars, 5 cars by yourself. After that, you're going to need software for sure. You're going to need QuickBooks for bookkeeping. You're going to need an accountant or a CPA to start managing the numbers, because now you're going to start coming across numbers that you've never either seen before, or never, like, this may be your first time, or it's just, you know, you might have other things and now you need to like have somebody professionally manage it. So you need a CPA or an attorney. You need an attorney, a general attorney. You might be able to use something like Legal Shield just to get you started, but over time you're going to want to start developing a relationship with an actual attorney, because things are going to happen. You're going to need your mechanic, right? A good, reliable mechanic that's going to be able to have some mobile. You're going to need somebody that detail cars, because the cars are going to get dirty. After that, either you're going to need to learn how to market yourself, right? Because just putting it on Turo and hoping that it gets rented is not enough. You're going to have to run Facebook ads, Instagram ads, and Google ads, right? You're either going to need to know how to do that stuff yourself, or you're going to have to pay somebody to come in and do that for you.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's I think that's your team. Because again, accountant, bookkeeper. The bookkeeper is the one that makes the numbers look all pretty. They hand that off to the accountant, who then tells him, hey, or your tax guy, right? Sometimes the CPA knows about taxes or tax strategy and things like that. So, you know, find a good one. They're the ones that's going to tell you, you know, here's how to structure your business and stuff like that. A different one. You're going to need a mentor, right, to kind of guide you through the practices and stuff. You're going to need an attorney just in case, you know, anything happens and you start getting sued or whatever happens, or you didn't fill out proper documentation properly. Maybe even a tax attorney, right, depending on how big you get. And then again, that's like the business side. Now the day-to-day operation side of it, again, your cleaner, your detailer, right, and your mechanic. You want it like 1 or 2 of them, right, of each, because if one's not available, then you got to kind of figure that stuff out.
Okay. Has rising inflation costs impacted your business, like with fuel and things like that? Like the price to buy a car for fuel, oil changes, has that impacted your profit margins?
Yeah, for sure, because it's impacted everybody, right? You know, inflation is not just like one industry over another; it's every industry. Because again, like, you know, the Costco now, you know, might buy Pop-Tarts, and Pop-Tarts last year was like $2, now all of a sudden it's $5. They're saying it's only a 7% inflation rate. No, that's 200-some%, or 300, 400%, right? So the cost of gas, you know, fluctuating and stuff, it's actually coming down.
So I checked that. So it is down about 3 cents. So down to about $3.60 national average.
Right.
So it is going down. This is from USA Today. They got it from AAA. So these statistics. So it seems that it's going down little by little, but
right,
you know, it's still higher than what it was maybe a year or two ago.
Yeah. So the cost of gas fluctuates, and then the price of the price of like, you know, what it costs to repair your car, right? It's going up. You can go to like Rock Auto and get stuff dirt cheap. But even still, it's like your services that you're paying for, oil changes, fluids, brake changes, and things like that. Everything's just going up. So of course it's going to impact the bottom line of everything. So you got to factor that into your bottom line as well.
Okay. So we've already seen this about 5-7 minutes ago. A glimpse of this. How do you deal with your renters? Like, is it you talking to them? Is it someone on the team talking to them? And, you know, do you ever have any challenges dealing with your renters?
Yeah, so I have a high risk, very, very high risk tolerance. So, and I also have like a lot of like experience with customer service and support and things like that. So like, I understand how to like speak to them.
Right.
So I just handle that part myself. And you can pay somebody to do that, but again, it's like, if you want to learn how to do the business, you got to do the business yourself, and then just kind of like learn the ropes of what is good customer support, customer service in this industry. Now there's definitely challenges, because again, I said 1 a.m, lady called me and she's like, hey, tire blew, and now I got to figure out what's the next steps at 1 a.m. I'm dead tired. Like, I sleep, right? So it's like you just got to be comfortable with that, comfortable with being uncomfortable and knowing that, you know, everything's not going to be perfect.
Right.
But again, it's like, it's a learning curve, right? If you're not going to get into this industry to be in it for the next, you know, 5 years, I don't recommend it, because again, it's like, if you're not going to be in this industry for 5 years, I don't recommend getting more than 2 cars, because it's going to start. Now, once you get more than 2 cars, you're running a business. No, there's no way around it. 2 cars is a hobby. So once you get 3 cars,
Or a side hustle.
huh?
Or a side hustle.
Silence, right? But once you start getting 3, now you're in the thick of it. So you got to like take that with a grain of salt.
Okay. Okay. Are there any cons or concerns within this business? What are they? What are they? I should say.
Yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of cons.
Okay.
There's I've had cars stolen. I've had there was one time where it was a meth head with a gun who beat his girlfriend and took the car.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had to chase him from DC, Baltimore, back down to DC. And
I don't remember the story.
yeah, 1 and 2, 3 in the morning, I'm in Southeast DC going up and down the alley trying to find this car. So there's cars that can be stolen. There's cars that can be damaged. I got a car right now that was wrecked during a rental and stuff like that. I've had cars that were like the Toyota that I told you about, the 2010. The entire face was wiped off, right? Because the girl pulled out a parking spot and somebody, took that off. So there's that. I have a car that's sitting right now because, someone stole, it's the Kias, right? The Kia boys and stuff like that. So they tore out the steering column and stuff like that. So you gotta worry about that. You also have to worry about, like, are you budgeting stuff? You can go into debt into this business. Like, I'm been at that point where I'm like, yo, this is rough, right? So you can't go into debt about it. You can't lose sleep. It's just like with any business, you can. There's a lot of cons with any business, but it's like, for me to have the ability to drive my dream car at 26 outweighs all that stuff. For me to be able to like give back and show people, hey, you can do this or that, and kind of get around that, it outweighs all the stuff that I had to go through to get to this point. And you might be that person who is that person for the next person, or there may be, like, I go back to my high school every now and then and kind of show them this kind of stuff, and just imagine, a teenager and their face just lighting up because they're like, how is this possible? Like I'm actually I've had, like, I let the kids sit in my car and actually rev the engine a couple times, and they're just like, geek, right?
Yeah, especially because you're older, but you're not that much older than.
Not that much older, right? I'm 26. I mean, I'm 8 years older than the oldest people in the school, right? And it's like they get to envision themselves, because I still look fairly young, so they're just like, and I'm 5'7", so at the end of the day, it's like, they're like, yo, he's my height, he looks like me, and he's cool and everything else like that. I mean, he's in this car, and he's not a doctor, a lawyer,
Or dope dealer.
A ball player, or 60, 70, 80 years old. You're like, wait a minute, I thought you had to go to school and get a job and get a master's degree and a doctorate degree to get to this level. And it's like, it's a lot more relatable. So that's what makes it a lot more worth it.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, and my final question, what are the different verticals that you can use to get in, and to maybe, like, how many different streams of income can you make from the car rental business?
There's a lot, because again, there's the car industry in itself, where people just love cars, and they have their own different things. They might be a mechanic, they might be an accountant, they might be an attorney. Like, I know an attorney who's got a 101 Black Series AMG that is crazy, right? And I'm able to talk to them because I'm in the car industry. So it's like, we're able to talk to Airbnb hosts, because it's like, hey, you have a place to stay, but people need something to drive when they come into town. Let's partner up. Hey, you have a mansion, right? We did a 4.4, I think it was like 4.3 or $4.4 million mansion out in Virginia, right? And they want the aesthetic, they want a different vibe for that car, for that house, so that they can get that pictures and the listings and stuff like that. We can work with them, right? We can work with insurance companies, or we can work with mechanics, because people, the cars go down and they need something to drive. There's a whole ton of different, like, verticals that can be made. It's just how creative are you willing to get to then go out and do that thing, right? We have chauffeurs, we have big music videos, so we work with a lot of different artists. We recently just worked with Valet to bring out the Maybach for his music video that's about to drop. We work with Big Flop. We work with a lot of local different artists for their music videos, things like that. And even my guy Silencio, we work with his clothing brand to get some shoots with him and Baby 50, right? So these are just local artists, so we were able to work with them while they're getting the music videos, the clothing brands, because once you have those nice cars, it's a lot easier to get into the door. And again, we're not just bringing out Toyos and Hondas. We're bringing out the Lambos, the Maseratis, the Ferraris, the whatever car that you can think of, we brought it out before.
So are these cars like your personal cars? Are they cars like in your business, or are they like partners cars?
So this is a whole different side. Like I have my personal cars, which is the common cars, which I rent out, but with the exotics and stuff like that, because I have an exotic, I can talk to other exotic owners and say, hey, your car is sitting. Like I drive that thing once every other weekend. Once every other week, once every other weekend. That's it. If that. Sometimes it's gone a month where I haven't driven it. So other people feel the same way. They might have 1, 2, 3, 4 exotics. I know a guy personally who has a Lamborghini truck. That's a daily car, right? Different level of money. But some of these cars, the exotic cars that are just sitting, right? And we can come and say, hey, what if you made some money with that car? We keep the miles down. People just take the pictures, the videos, whatever they got going on with it. You can put it in front of I knew somebody who had a clothing brand that was a clothing store that did a grand opening. And, I had 2 Rolls-Royce trucks parked out in front of it, the Cullinans, right? And I went and talked to the owner for the first time. I was like, to the owner of the Cullinan, I was like, yo, like, what if we can bring you more business and stuff? So that's the brokering side. We can have a different podcast on that about how that works and how we're going about that.
Okay.
But again, that's another vertical in the car business, because again, we started that because we're already in the car industry. So now we get to just jump into that kind of thing.
Okay. All right, Alex, man, this was, like, as I said, very valuable. Like, we've learned a lot about the car rental business, and man, this was an incredible episode. Like, if you follow my videos before, you've seen that I touched on some of these topics as well, but my business was nothing like Alex. So if Alex is who you want to follow to run a successful car rental business, I'm the cautionary tale of what not to do when running a car rental business. And so we could check out, like, as I said, I have some other older videos on those and what happened to me in that situation. So I appreciate you, Alex. I thank you for your time. And man, let's catch up soon. And man, I think we could do several more episodes, man, because you have a lot of knowledge in a lot of different entrepreneurial fields. So
I'll say this last thing. I think that most people are afraid to take action. The reason that I have the level of success that I have, and I was just thinking about this morning, that it's like some people are like, oh, I wish I had his problems. I'm like, I don't know if you want to be called at 1 in the morning woken up. Like I've had that happen several times where I'm like, people are yelling at me at 1 in the morning kind of thing. But the reason I have my level of success is because I was willing to take the action. Right? Most people just sit there and they have $1 million idea, but they never act on it. So if you never act on it, then it's just a pipe dream and a dream in itself. Right? Like faith without works is dead. You gotta work. You gotta put in that effort and to like actually doing that thing. And then once you do it, you're going to learn that, I'm going to fail on certain things, but it's only a complete failure if you just stop and you just like quit. Yeah. For me, I don't plan on quitting. I don't plan on like dropping this stuff. So I'm just like, all right, cool. I'm gonna take it on the chin, but I'm gonna keep moving and stuff like that. So it's the learning curve. Learning curve. So the rest was history.
All right, man. I hope you enjoyed the episode today, and peace. We'll see you next episode.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you. Now you're on the mobile podcast.